Hey everybody, what's up? I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to Sit Down. Alan Tudyk is here with us. A lot of good stuff going on for him. Alan, nice to meet you. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Really good. Laughing, dancing.
A little bit of
Living.
everything. We need to be laughing. We need to be dancing. I mean, it was a rough year in 2020, but it's a new year, and hopefully there's some good stuff to watch and look forward to at this point. So, what has the last year been like for you? Just kind of adjusting to this whole new world here.
Yes, it's been. My wife and I moved to Canada.
Oh wow.
We didn't. It wasn't like this, we're out of here moment. It wasn't that like when you hear people go, that's it, I'm moving to Canada. We were in Canada shooting Resident Alien, and my wife is Canadian originally. She has her dual citizenship, but we were here in Vancouver, and then we shut down to everybody went away for COVID to go have their own COVID experience. And most of the cast went back to LA, and her and I decided not to go back. We were like, what's the point? It was just turning spring. It seemed like a time to take a break. It was only going to be a few weeks anyway. And then we started paying, we were paying, rent was high. And so then we realized we loved it here, and we bought a place.
Wow.
And now we live near Stanley Park, which is the most gorgeous park in the whole world. I'm in love with this city. So I haven't been back to LA in about a year.
Wow. And
yeah, I hear it's not great.
It's a little different than Vancouver, right?
Well, people are choking on the ashes of the dead. So that's what's happening in LA. That's not happening here.
Right.
So there is a difference. A lot of fresh air here. I don't know. It's a crazy time. I feel really blessed to have this option to be here. And my wife and I are just enjoying. We have 2 dogs, so we go on lots of walks in the park.
Awesome.
That's kind of life. There's walks in the park and doing some voiceovers here and there. And now finally launching Resident Alien, which has been cooking for 2 years, this thing.
Yeah, so you've been waiting for a minute on this one. So what are you most excited about? I mean, you've done a bunch of TV shows and projects in the past. What stands out about this experience here?
It seems shallow to me to say I'm the lead, but it is different. There's a difference. I wish there wasn't as big of a difference, but there is a difference. There's a, whenever you do any role, whatever, and there's I have, as you said, been in a lot of different things in different size roles. When you're the lead, it's logical sense that your contribution to the thing is going to be larger. So your investment is more. So you feel more responsible for it. There's also a lot more opportunity to have fun. There's a lot of opportunity to shape it. When you're shaping your character, that ends up shaping the show. So you're, just more and more invested, more and more of your voice as an artist gets put into a project. So that's a big difference with Resident Alien. Also, it's really good. It's a dramedy, which is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things. I like. There's a lot of comedy in this. There's almost more comedy than drama. So you're laughing along, and then you'll get a moment, and it really tugs at your heart. That's fun. I also like the reverse dramedies where it's drama, and then something happens that's really funny, and that I love those moments. Jordan Peele does that really well in his films, but yeah, so it's a dramedy, and I think it's going to be entertaining for people.
Yeah, it's really fun to play in both of those worlds and to be able to finesse both those things. And you mentioned being the number one on the call sheet. It shouldn't be different, but it is, right? There's the significance that comes along with that. And listen, you've done all these shows and movies where you've seen leading men and women and the way that they carry themselves on sets. And I'm sure some have been great and others have not been so great. But who are the people that stand out to you where you're like, this person understood what it means to be a number one, and I'm going to try and pick some stuff up from that?
Nathan Fillion, hands down. That guy is just a leader. He's a natural leader. He comes from a family of leaders. They're all in education, but they're like principals and stuff. So like they're the leader of education and like they're the captain of those ships. And he naturally sees the world in a way. It's just organized for him where he sees a way forward always. But when we did Firefly, was when I first met Nathan, he said, I got the cast together. He's like, hey, everybody, it was like one of the first days we were shooting. He's like, let's have a contest. Who can learn all the names of the crew first? Just so y'all know, that guy's name's Alan. That's Ron. That's Jim. Named off 6 guys. He's like, so I'm winning so far. And then everybody learned everybody. And then we all became friends. And then we were, by the end, I threw this huge party, the F Fox party, I think it was called. There was something, I can't remember what came after the F, but it was a big party that I threw when we were canceled. And it was the entire crew and the entire cast was this big, huge blowout, but it was everybody. Everybody was equals on that thing. So have I repeated that on Resident Alien? No. But I have to, I'm aspiration. I'm going to work towards that. I have to, I'm realizing now I maybe should have done that.
You got time. You'll get it going.
I can't get up to Nathan Fillion level right away in my first season.
Now you got to work towards that.
I got to give them a reason to renew us. Like everybody is very close, but we're not throwing parties together. Like we need to get there.
You'll get there. I think things are going in the right direction, and definitely things are going in the right direction with your career. And when I think about it, obviously the stuff that you've done on camera as your own self has been great, but the voice acting has been awesome. I mean, you're playing the devil, you played the Joker, you've done the Ice Age thing. Like, where does the whole thing begin for you with voice acting? When did you realize that was a thing you could do really well?
I always wanted to do it. I did Ice Age. The first Ice Age, I was called in because I was doing a play where I played multiple roles in the play. And I went in to audition and they just handed me a stack. It was like, they're very thick. Each picture was very thick, like on some kind of board, some matte board. And they were like these digital renderings of characters. And they said, just give a voice to each one of these. And there'd be like a line taped to the bottom and just flipped through about 30 of them and did 30 voices. And they said, great, we'll call you if we like anything you did. And then I got a call and I had 3 voices. And they were all just odd little characters. One was a saber-toothed tiger. He was the husky one. And so he just sounded like this. And I thought it was a trashy voice, but they were okay with it and wanted me to do it. I did there was a dinosaur, they called him Weird Dinosaur Guy. He's like, hey, why did it think they call it the Ice Age? And then it was like in this big convoy. And then I was the dodo birds. It was me and 2 other guys did all of the prepare for the Ice Age. And that was great. And to get to see it then animated was exciting because you do things vocally. I did this lateral lift for the dodo, like that's the last melon. And then when they animated it, he's got this tongue that kind of lolls over. There's an alarm that just went off. Oh, that's here. Does that mean somebody's at our house?
Either that or somebody's calling.
We just moved in, obviously, because we didn't live here. So we don't know what these sounds are. We finally found a plug that the phone works in. And wow, somebody got a package. Anyway, the last melon, the tongue lolls in his beak and falls out. And that was very fun to watch. But then it was several years before I got another voiceover job. Outside of the Ice Age, I did like little things in Ice Age, the other Ice Age movies. And then I met John Lasseter and he was like, you're going to be in some Disney movies. That's kind of pretty much what he said. Like, it is really good to meet you. He gave me the role of King Candy and then put me in every movie since. And now Jennifer Lee, who runs Disney Animation, who was also there at the time. She was the second person I worked with. She worked on Wreck-It Ralph as well. They all work on each other's projects. It's a pretty great company that way.
Nice. It's nice when you get in the mix for this stuff, and you know it as an actor. Like, you just got to know some people, and it's really a smaller business than it actually seems. And you know, sometimes you get some things that are really big smashes. Like, I think of you in Dodgeball, and all these years later, Steve the Pirate still has a name in our culture. And so when you think about that movie, what do you remember about just pulling off that whole part and just putting it all together?
Dude, when I first read that script, I was pretty dumb about it. I was doing iRobot at the time, and I got the script, and I read it, and I wanted to be a different. I read it and liked a different role. I forget, it was one of the other dodgeballers. But I told my manager, "Yeah, it's good. If they cut that pirate, I think this might be a hit." He's like, "Yeah, okay. Read it again and read specifically for the pirate now, because that's who they're interested in you reading for." So then I read it and I was like, I guess I get it. So he's just like this guy who thinks he's a pirate, and I just barely had my head wrapped around it, and went in for the audition. And there were all these really good actors auditioning. And I was like, all right, so there's definitely something I'm not immediately grasping about this role. This is a great role. Patrick Warburton was there. Gosh, there's another guy, I can't think of his name. Anyway, some guys were dressed up full on pirate. They were full on eyeliner and sashes around their waists and, you know, bandanas and stuff. I was just kind of, I think I wore a blousey shirt or something very, just barely suggestive. But met Ben and Vince Vaughn, and most of the guys who were in the movie were there, and they were just sort of pairing us with each other and bringing us in and out and bringing us in and out. And we were improvising, and the only improv I remember is when they said we were trying to come up with ways to make money. And I said that we would we'd harvest oil from whales. And that's how we were gonna strike it rich. And then it was all just about saying "gar" at the right time. This is kind of the main job of that role. That's what I remember.
It's pretty crazy for all the serious stuff you've done. It's like, I'm gonna play this pirate, and you know, over 15 years later, people are still gonna be talking about it. Like, you just never know with this industry, right?
I still will get yars and gars on the street from people. I'll just be walking and I'll hear a yar ring out from a distance, and just kind of, yep. Or hiking past somebody, they get several feet down the trail. Yar! We're under attack. No. It's just this thing I did.
I mean, that must have been pretty frequent when the movie first came out. Hopefully it's dying off a little bit, but I'm sure when it first came out, you know, what was the reception?
Well, Ben Stiller bought us all the guys on Average Joe's when it was like made a ton of money. He bought us all mopeds.
Really? Wow.
He bought us all Vespas. I don't know that it seems like such like an old, I don't know that that's done anymore anyway. And on the side it said Average Joe's. So we had Average Joe's Vespas. Wow. So I lived in Venice, and I was tooling around Venice in that thing. And I very quickly realized I couldn't really just tool around Venice. I needed a face shield that was dark, that you couldn't see through, because people would pull up, look at the Average Joe's, then look at me. Hey, Steve, you're not a pirate. Hey. Yes.
What happened to the Vespa?
It was better with a sun shield. Yeah.
Where's the Vespa now? Is Vespa's long gone?
I gave the Vespa to my buddy's daughter. Yeah. She was 15. She needed a ride.
I like it.
I ride motorcycles now, man.
Yeah, you're well past it.
That was my training wheels. That was how I got trained, and I needed something with a little more power.
Alan, before we let you run, can we get some memories growing up in Texas? You know, what stands out to you the most?
Texas, man. As I'm getting older, my Texas accent will come back. I'm realizing I loved Texas. It's gotten so crazy. My parents, both of them moved to, my dad was a farmer originally that grew up on a farm. My mother, her parents, and my grandparents were sort of in the cattle business, some farming, but more on the cattle side of things, some oil, but not like the big derrick that's making all the money, like tar sands and stuff. And they both moved away from where they grew up and met. And so my family was a bit removed in a suburb and near Dallas. But every summer we would go back near San Antonio or San Antone, if you're from Texas, and visit. And it was just the best time because it was a little bitty town, small town of Charlotte, Texas. You could walk it. It's just a mile square. We could work for our cousins in a little, it was, I guess, a Texas bodega. What you would think of as a bodega or an ice house is what they'd call it. Work at the ice house and shoot guns. And I entered a junior rodeo once, and thank God it was rained out, because that would have been embarrassing. But I was entered to do goat roping and barrel running. So I was training on a little horse called Shorty to do barrel running, and the goat roping was a bit trickier. I couldn't, you got to do this hip thing and throw them to the ground, which was hard. And then there's also the roping of their legs. But yeah, that was a magic. That there was a lot of adventure going down to San Antonio when I was a kid. It was a lot of fun.
And you're still on that adventure now. And it comes now with Resident Alien and all the other good stuff you have going on. So Alan,
yeah,
really appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much. And best luck with everything going forward, all right?
Thank you. You know what? I'm going to rope a goat today. You've reminded me about some adventures that haven't been done yet. And I need to complete some adventures.